Today I'm going to talk about Thomas Hobbes and media ethics. The field of ethics or moral philosophy involves systematizing, defending, and recommending concepts of right and wrong behavior. Philosophers today divide ethical theories into three subjects: metaethics, normative ethics, and applied ethics. Thomas Hobbes was an English philosopher best known for his political thoughts. His vision of the world was original and still relevant to contemporary politics today. His main concern is the problem of social and political order. He believes that human beings can live together in peace and avoid the danger and fear of civil conflict. He poses many stark alternatives and says that we should give our obedience to an unaccountable sovereign. He believes that what awaits is a state of nature that closely resembles civil war. We live in the world that Hobbes addressed head-on, a world where human authority is something that requires justification and is automatically accepted by few, a world where social and political inequality also appears questionable, and a world where religious authority faces significant dispute. We can put the matter in terms of the concern with equality and rights that Hobbes thought heralded. We live in a world where all human beings are supposed to have rights, that is, moral claims that protect their basic interests. Hobbes still has a big influence in today's society and modern-day media ethics issues. His ideas are still discussed in a number of niches within contemporary culture. His thoughts are like organisms that survive due to the fact that it is adapted to a specific ecological niche. He has provided two powerful political images that continue to resonate with the anxieties of political theorists, policymakers, and journalists. The issue that I'm going to talk about today is President Trump's conflict of interest. President Trump's conflict of interest problem was massive, and his team seemed to have no interest in solving it. During the time of his campaign, Trump made no secret to the media of the fact that he was interested in profiting personally off his presidency, suggesting that he might restart Trump University because there would be so much interest in it once he was in office, and also making a habit of paying off Trump-related businesses with his campaign funds. Trump's finances and far-reaching foreign interests are problematic in and of themselves. Ethics experts have urged Trump to liquidate his business holdings so that he can avoid any appearance of a conflict, as the public nature of most of his businesses means it's impossible to prevent him from knowing how government policies will affect his. Some of his conflicts of interest include This is where Thomas Hobbes comes in. Many statements by Trump suggest he will transcend this problem by fusing his private interest and the public welfare. In embracing this idea, he shows surprising and revealing affinity with self-made Thomas Hobbes. Trump's mixing of personal business and politics have been center stage since Election Day. Trump is not oblivious to these issues. As he puts it, everything a president does in some ways is like a conflict of interest. Hobbes' life was bookended by chaos. From the attempted invasion of England by the Spanish Armada the year of his birth to the English Civil War, which concluded when he was in his 60s. Hobbes concluded that nations needed powerful rulers and stable societies to avoid the continual fear and danger of violent death. While Hobbes allowed for some variations in who ruled, kings and queens would be the best subjects in peaceful awe and prevent destructive civil and international conflict. Such leviathans were nearly absolute rulers who clearly violated our contemporary notions of personal liberty, not to mention the separation of powers. Hobbes' sovereigns could pass, implement, and judge laws while being personally exempt from their reach. Hobbes was far more worried about security than freedom, and more concerned that divided rule would lead to battles for power that will cripple the state. We expect more from government in the 21st century, even in an era of terror. But Hobbes anticipated one objection that remains relevant today. How can we ensure that a leader, even an absolute monarch, acts in the country's best interest? The answer to this lies in the sweeping authority of Hobbes' Leviathan. Because a king sees a nation's welfare as indivisible from his own, such figures face no conflict of interest. As Hobbes puts it, sovereign governors don't take pleasure in the weakening of their subjects, but in the strengthening them and promoting their flourishing. When the line between the leader's private and public concerns are blurred, ambition and achievement in one sphere promotes accomplishment and splendor in the other. In conclusion, there are two major problems with this approach. Hobbes himself recognized how hard it is to fuse private interest with the public good. Leaders are inherently jealous and insecure, constantly comparing themselves with other nations and heads of state and valuing what is eminent rather than what is genuinely in the national interest. More fundamentally, American history has simply proven Hobbes wrong. For more than 200 years, we've committed ourselves to a constitutional system that fractures political power in a manner that would have given Hobbes fits. We value freedom and accountability over security at all costs. For these reasons, Hobbes' solution to the problem of aligning public and private interests is clearly not suited to American constitutional democracy or the new administration. The conflict of interest problem is an unresolved challenge for the incoming administration. It is a lingering concern of an electorate hungry for selfless leaders and suspicious that governing elites have personally benefited themselves at the expense of the public.